Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, people on YouTube. And welcome back to William in Japan. Today, you join me on a gloomy, somewhat wet day. It's actually raining a bit as we speak on the beautiful Roxton Final Edition. So we're back in Chiba, our favorite playground, and heading towards Route 88. We've been there before. It's the route parallel to the Momiji Road, the Maple Road. A bit smaller, a bit more technical, but a bit less traffic. So before further ado, let's hit the road. Alrighty folks, we're at the entrance of Route 88. Let's board the Thruxton and be on our way. So as I mentioned a bit earlier, Route 88 is right by the Maple Road that we have been to multiple times. It is a bit more, let's say, not looked after. A bit more bumpy here and there. Sometimes you get a few potholes, nothing major, but it's definitely not as smooth and wide as what we usually get to see in Chiba. But of course, when we're still inside the village, still very nicely looked after. It will change a bit as we head into the hills. As I mentioned, I think, well, way back, Chiba doesn't really have mountains. It has a lot of hills like the ones we're seeing here, but unfortunately, if you really want to have twisty hairpins and also high, extremely quick descents or hill climbs, you won't get that. But on the contrary, you have these kind of long flowing curves, nice and smooth, good visual, no blind curves, or at least not as much. Hence this is way more relaxing, and that's why I really like to come to Chiba now and then. It definitely is most common destination I have when I am out riding. Route 88 itself has roughly north-south bound, so even early mornings or late afternoons you won't get as much sunlight in your eyes. Winter months though, yes, as the sun comes down a bit lower, it'll be a bit harder heading southbound. And because I usually do take the Maple Road southbound anyways, I come back south to north with Route 88. So some of you have been asking ever since I reposted my video mentioning I'm back in Japan and getting the street triple fixed. So where is it? It's still with me, but I'm not going to take it out for long rides like today, at least for a while. That's because I'm actually putting it up for auction. There are multiple online auction services available here in Japan. And I want to keep the mileage a bit steady until I make a decision, make up my mind if I'm going to sell it, keep it, or sell it privately. So hands, yeah, it is still at home in the garage, waiting for the auction to end in 2 days, and we'll see how much we can get out of it. If it is in the UK or US, I bet the Street Triple can fetch a lot more money than what I am expecting here in Japan. Japanese as a whole don't really like street fighters. Yes, you do see quite a lot of, let's say, BMWs out on the road, but you really barely see any KTMs, very little Ducati Street Fighters too. Like, when they talk about naked bikes, they expect a round headlight, large tank, upright sitting position. So those sell. We're talking about Z900 RSs, the W800, of course that's not really a fast bike, but still a naked bike nonetheless. And you kind of see the pattern of what the Japanese motorcycle makers tend to launch in Japan. Just even looking back a few years ago, the CB400 SF, the Super 4, was available until 2022 when it was discontinued, I think globally, way back in early 2010s or even earlier than that. That bike was the go-to bike for everybody who first got their license, and also it was their training bike inside the riding schools here in Japan that almost every single person goes through when they get their first license. They're kind of bored into their expectation of how a naked bike should look like. So I guess it's still like the UJMs back in the 1980s or 1970s. Of course, we're losing the four-cylinder machines, but twin shocks at the back, round headlight, four-cylinder engine is basically what Japanese riders are looking for. That's why Z900 RS was the top-selling bike for almost every single year lately. And that's why Honda is bringing in the CB1000F. We're still waiting for that official launch. We have seen the concept bike, in which the reception was great here in Japan. And also we already heard the launch of the CB500F in China, I think. And I think there will be a 400cc version for the Japanese domestic market that should be announced by EICMA or by the Tokyo Motorcycle Show next year. So we'll see. We're kind of getting a resurface of the four-cylinder 400s naked bikes, and there was always talks of Kawasaki is going to bring a Z400 RS based on their ZX4R and RR platforms, which I think once the Honda comes out, it's just a no-brainer for Kawasaki to bring it back, because Japanese licenses, they need something under 400 cc's, and people just love that single headlight old school look. I'm not sure if this bike is available or not outside of Japan, but Kawasaki also has a single cylinder W230, which is based off the KL230 here in Japan. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, international versions is actually 300cc engine, and in Japan they need to stick it under the 250cc regulation, so they had a 230 version. But I may be very, very wrong here, guys. It's really on top of my head, but at least in Japan for sure it's a 230cc engine, air cooled too. Road's a bit dirty today, but nothing we can't handle. So yeah, that was a huge tangent. back to the street triple. Yes, it won't fetch too much money here in Japan. I barely see any street triples on the road. Yes, we see a few here and there. Oh, is that a kitty? That is oh, that's a doggy. God, I digress. Okay, street triples are not popular here. And with all the problems that Japanese really hate, to be frank, electricals, leaking oil, everybody hates it, but the tolerance here I think is even a bit lower than other countries, since there are just so many Japanese bikes here. So maybe I'll get what, 1.3 million yen if I'm lucky with that. So that's about how much? 85k US dollars? Maybe. Yeah, it's a low mileage bike for US standards. It is definitely a high mileage bike in Japanese standards. So yeah, I have to be very lucky if I can fetch 1.3 million. I'm thinking I may land around 1.2 or even less, 1.1, but we'll see. I really just might in the end keep it if it is too low in terms of the selling price, or just wait for a private buyer. I'll sell it myself. It's already on Facebook Marketplace anyways, and see how people react to it. Barely had any calls so far. As I said, not a very popular machine here in Japan, so hopefully I can get at least half of my money back after just riding it for 2 years. Well, this also means I should be bike hunting if I'm really going to sell it. I haven't started yet. Private life has been very, very busy. Work is the day job. It's really crazy at the moment. I really can't find a better way to put it, that I just can't find time to do my own stuff. Work has taken up most of my life in the past 2 years. Believe it or not, a week ago, yeah, just a week ago, I was in Mongolia, guys. I never thought in my freaking whole life I would be in Mongolia, of all places. But it's such an interesting country once you visit it. I can take care of most types of food, so I was okay. But I definitely see some people struggling to find good food there. The culture is vibrant. People are very young. I never saw a country as young as Mongolia. They told me their average age for the population is still in their 30s. That's incredible. So I learn new stuff every time I visit a new country. Of course, that should be the case. You're not an all-knowing, but still, yeah, visiting Mongolia was a treat. But it also means less riding. So forgive me if you're missing some, not a lot, but some of the content that I should have been uploading for the past 2 years. I try to keep up. Hang in there with me, and it will come. So yeah, guys, I'm off Route 88 for quite a long time now. We're actually heading back to the Maple Road. So I'm going to enjoy that, head back to Tokyo, rest a bit for as we start all over again Monday, tomorrow. This has been William. Thanks for joining me. Sorry for all that jibber jabber, nothing to do with Route 88, but hope you enjoyed Route 88 itself. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.